Today at Coffee Break we're going to talk a very sad topic. We came prepared on everything. We were black. Because public higher education in Colombia is dying, and the government is letting it die little by little.
You're probably waiting for the second part of the vision of women in our regions, but tuvimos que hacer un par. In Spanish, strike is a homonymous word of stop, to cease an activity. That if we see it in this context, the students have ceased their regular academic activities for a just cause and they are on a par.
A strike? Yes, a strike.
This strike for education isn't a new issue in Colombia. Since 1992 and even before, students of all ages have had to pronounce themselves on the streets to be heard. Before Law 30 entered as an active agent of higher education in Colombia, there was an incredible mess. There were no resources, there were few opportunities to enter to the university, and there were poor quality institutions.
Law 30 was an agreement between the government, the students, and universities to solve the problems swelled at that time. Inequity and social exclusion, and low job opportunities, one consequence of the other, since the population that didn't have access to higher education is a population that poorly qualified to the labor market.
Although if we look at the current scenario, it hasn't changed that much.
Law theory sought to define education as a right and a public service with a social function. I, as a student, pay for a service that has the intention of building me as a useful citizen for my country. So, as long as I have the money, I can exercise my right to higher education. Something that is being reevaluated in the current strike. We want it to be a right, and to stop discriminating the most vulnerable population that can access to higher education.
Law 30 also addressed how resources were to be handled, a matter too important in higher education institutions, especially public ones. Articles 86 and 87 says that public universities will be financed by the national budget, which is not more than the country pays to the universities for existing. Also, these resources will be regulated by the CESU, entity that looks after the development of higher education.
Now, you may be wondering, what about scholarships? Well, what do you think that in 2006 to the lottery was made a little addition, and was that an entity facilitator of credits? We'll take care of this small matter. Yes, as you hear it, in 2006 was added to the lottery Article 111 that ICETEX will determine how subsidies will be handled. ICETEX, entity that debts Colombian families which want their children get higher education. Look, everything written sounds very nice, but come here, what has happened to us as students? The strike was lifted and continues due to the lack of budget. Yes, public universities can do what they're told to do in the same law, research, since there's no way to finance them. Not to mention the inner workings of the university and other expenses for their existence.
On the other hand, Law 30 practically forced the universities to accredit themselves of high quality. What does this mean? To solve the problem of the terrible educational institutions, it was decided that the programs were recognized before the state as good, that they fulfill the objectives of the same law. Good professionals with a view to investigations and better positioning of the Colombian education before the world, because it was just at the time of the economic opening of our country, so we had to make the grade. You see, the demand for high quality implies having laboratories, technological tools at the forefront, and a team of trained teachers. That is, doctorates and master's degrees. People capable of teaching the future researchers of the nation.
But what did they do? As we told you, public universities are financed by the public money. This budget increases thanks to the IPC, which in a few words is a number that doesn't say anything by itself. But thanks to mathematical formulas, voila, it tells us how much inflation increases. In terms of a student of economic explanation, if for the year 1992 I could buy a coffee for 1,000 pesos, but for the year 1993, inflation goes up at 10%, I could buy the same coffee, but now with 1,100 pesos. That is buy the same thing, but more expensive. Now transfer it to educational field. The money that was destined for public universities in 1992 has been maintained to 2018. But from 1992 to 2018, the universities have grown in coverage.
For example, the Universidad Nacional de Colombia has offices in Cesar, Leticia, San Andrés Island, Arauca, Palmira, Medellín, Bogotá, and Tumaco. It covers a large part of the Colombian territory and reaches areas where the possibilities of obtaining a professional title are scarce. As already said in the last video, in Tumaco, the arrival of Universidad Nacional is maybe the only option for young people like me to access to a high-quality education.
On the other hand, there are more students that are applying to the public ones. According to Profe Mantilla, former rector of Universidad Nacional, undergraduate students increased the figure from 160,000 to 560,000, almost 4 times more. And postgraduate course, 19,652 students, a figure that in 2011 amounted to 34,654 students. That is, coverage increased by 76%.
So, more students requesting places in public universities and more postgraduate courses offered in the country, it's logical that more funding is requested. And this without mentioning the number of candidates that remain outside. We're doing a good job because universities are positioning themselves in world rankings. But it's very difficult if the government doesn't help public universities that are doing everything possible with the group research that survive.
And here we leave aside issues such as 1. The salary of our teachers and how more and more they should endebt themselves to pay their income statement. 2. Sitio lo paga y Generación E. Scholarship programs that really don't help the most vulnerable population. And 3. The latest hit of Duque and Maluma.
No soy estudiante, soy Maluma. SOS Universidades Públicas. We would like to know what do you think about it. Leave it in the comments below and subscribe.
Question for this week. Do you think that public education in Colombia will survive?
Bye and see us in another video.